Every year, our church does a summer series where we dive deep into a book or a theme of the Bible. And this year, I thought we could do a few companion videos diving into some of the stuff that we can't get to in the sermon because it's a sermon and sermons kind of have very specific purposes. YouTube videos, on the other hand, have absolutely no purpose. None whatsoever. So let's talk about the book of Daniel. If we haven't met before, I'm Matthew, and this is Peoria Adventist, a channel all about showing Seventh-day Adventism to internet people like you and me. Now, like I said, we're going through the book of Daniel during our summer series here, and, well, according to Christianity Today, Daniel is not in the 5 least favorite books of the Bible, so that's good news. Sorry, Revelation, you are in the bottom 5. Now, and no one on Reddit seems to list Daniel as one of their favorite books, however. But this guy, Justin, on YouTube, apparently really likes Daniel.
Still, I like Daniel. I like Daniel more than Job. I like Daniel A territory. I like Daniel more than Exodus. I like Daniel more than Jeremiah. Kings. I like Daniel a lot. I like Daniel a whole lot. Why is Judges so high?
Even if he's only pretty sure that the story of Daniel in the lion's den is in Daniel.
This is the 3 Hebrew boys in the fire. Is this also Daniel in the lion's den? I would assume so.
Look, I think we tend to rank books of the Bible based on how easy it is for us to understand what they're talking about the first time we read it. And we're probably also influenced deeply, I would say, by how well the stories of the Bible have permeated Western society. There's just so much content out there, and I get that we have to make somewhat superficial evaluations of things. We do judge books by their cover because we have to. There's a lot of them. But we have to dive in on something in life, and I think it's really worth taking the time to understand Daniel. Now, Daniel is a weird book, don't get me wrong. It's written in 2 languages, covering 2 literary genres during a time of 2 empires, and 2 camps have formed, arguing over 2 dates in which Daniel is said to have been written. It was either written when the book claims to have been written by a guy named Daniel living in the time of the Babylonians and the Persians, or it was written in the 2nd century BC, and so Daniel's prophecies are really just history because the things he describes as about to happen had already happened by the time the book was written. Now, Adventists traditionally take the first view that it was written when it says it was written, and that these are real, predictive prophecies that we find in Daniel 2 and in Daniel 7 and elsewhere. But set aside all of this arguing about Daniel and realize what we have here. A really ancient yet very readable book. And it is grappling with these incredibly timeless problems. And so here are 3 of my favorite themes in the book of Daniel. First, empires. Empires were relatively new in human history at that time, but it doesn't take long to figure out what they're like. Daniel is forcibly taken, not just from his home, but from his people and his past. He is brainwashed with Babylonian religion, his body is violated, and he is forced to serve his oppressor. Yet in chapter 4, we find a genuine kind of affection that Daniel has for his tyrannical king. Is it Stockholm Syndrome? Is it just some kind of survival mechanism? Or did Daniel really transcend his own pain and learn to love the king, not as an oppressor, but in spite of it? And that's really interesting, and it's worth talking about. Now, the second of my favorite themes in Daniel is about where we place our hope for the future. Hope that arrives because Daniel looks beyond the successive waves of empires that are destined to come and to go. Daniel is looking for something sturdier, something that will last and will outlast those empires. And that's the coming kingdom of God, a kingdom based on a higher authority and a better character, and which will replace all of the other earthly kingdoms that we see in the book. And it's easy to get caught up in the politics of the moment. But Daniel's belief in a transcendent God with a plan gives him some perspective that guards against a tendency for present politics to become ultimate ends. Right? Like, we have to vote this way now or everything's going to be lost. When you start thinking that way, the ends can easily start to justify the means. How we vote and build our society matters, don't get me wrong, but since all the kingdoms that we have will ultimately be defeated by God's kingdom in the end, how we build our society isn't the most important thing ever. And I shouldn't start thinking that one beast is so much better than the rest. Empire is empire. Now, my third favorite theme in Daniel is that of judgment. And this comes out most clearly in Daniel 7, where Daniel sees these beastly empires and despairs at how much violence they wield. But an angel tells Daniel that, in the end, the victims of this violence will prevail. Now, Daniel can't believe it. He keeps looking at the beasts, and the angel keeps reminding him that in the end, justice prevails. But Daniel's like, yeah, but what about the injustice, right? And Daniel finds this bad news so captivating that he can't hear the good news that the angel's telling him. And in the end, Daniel's physically sick. And if that isn't a relevant theme for today, I don't know what is. Now, there's a lot more to Daniel, but I find it to be a surprisingly relevant book, relevant to the problems that we face today. Christians in America are re-examining their relationship with the state. Some are seeing that it's a little bit more beastly than once they believed. We are dealing with an obsession with reporting bad news and a struggle to maintain hope. And we have people treating politics as if it's a religion, right? Where your position on this issue is going to define our relationship, and I will unfriend you, that is, excommunicate you for this political heresy on social media. Look, politics are important, but it makes for a bad religion, I think. Anyways, I hope this video will inspire you to pick up the book of Daniel, give it another look. It's a book worth reading twice, maybe 3 times, 4 times, and just spend time thinking about it. You might even get some friends together and talk about the themes of the book. And of course, you can always tune in to our Sabbath streams each Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Central all summer long as I go through the book of Daniel. If you have your own thoughts about Daniel, maybe some favorite themes that you have or things that you find hard to understand, let me know in the comments. I'll wait for you there. Thanks for watching.